Hello, med fanatics. Welcome back to your favorite health sciences podcast, where you get the latest and trending news in health sciences and you get to learn a little bit more about health sciences careers. My name is Andiswa, on my journey to becoming Dr. Andy, and I am your host. I bring you once again another empowering, educational, and inspiring episode. This is indeed episode 5 of season 2 of Med Chats. Guys, I am so happy, so excited at the same time. You know, I've been looking back at the episodes that I've uploaded so far and I have been loving them. You guys have been loving them. Thank you so much for all those who have liked, commented, and shared the videos, and all those who keep on requesting, especially when it comes to the health sciences careers that you guys want to see in this podcast. I have been enjoying learning about all the careers under health sciences. Like, some of these careers I also didn't know that exist. Like, I ask those questions like I am asking for myself, and I think that's what makes the episodes more informative, because they are talking to someone who is not well informed about their career. Like, the questions that you guys have are the questions that I have too. That's why the chats that we have are so detailed. Let me know in the comments which episode has been your favorite episode so far. And if it is your first time watching this podcast, right on this episode, you are not too late. You do have a time to catch up. Just go back to the last 4 episodes that I've uploaded. And for those who enjoy listening to a podcast instead of watching here on YouTube, please know that Med Chats with Becoming Dr. Andy is available on Spotify and Apple. You can access that by using the link on the description box down on this video, or going to your Spotify and actually searching Med Chats with Becoming Dr. Andy, and all the episodes are gonna pop out, even episodes from our previous season, which is season 1. Yo guys, a lot has been happening here. A lot has been happening. The NHI bill has been signed in South Africa. We have an outbreak, monkeypox pandemic. Fake doctors are being caught. Guys, a lot has been happening ever since I last spoke to you guys. A lot has been happening, and trust me, I'm gonna catch you guys up. Trust me, I'm gonna keep you guys updated. I'm having my coffee right here because this is about to be a juicy episode. I'm about to update you guys with all the things that have been going on. But firstly, I've got a couple of announcements to make. So as you guys know that I am currently in my final year. Your girl's actually halfway through. I'm left with, like, you know, a semester of medical school. It's exciting, it's scary, it's, yeah, all type of feelings. And my schedule has been crazy lately. So I have decided that I'm going to post a new episode every second Sunday. As you might know or you might not have known, Med Chats was going up every Sunday at 6 p.m. So now I am going to change it to every second Sunday at 6 p.m. which basically means that if I am posting this Sunday, the following Sunday I won't be posting, and then the following Sunday after that I'll be posting. So I'm going to be alternating the Sundays so that I get enough time to actually, you know, focus on my studies, because your girl needs to get this degree. But guys, don't worry, if I'm not posting an episode that Sunday, just know that the following Sunday I'm going to be posting an episode. And another announcement that I would like to make is that Med Chats has another series. It is like a baby series from the main podcast, and it is called Med Chats, the Internship series. As you guys know that med students, after they are done with medical school, they have to do their internship. And when you are in final year, you go through this process of actually applying for internship, right? And when you apply for internship, you choose like your top 5 hospitals you would like to be placed in. because you are placed by the government at any province here in South Africa at a government hospital. So I have realized that on the internet there isn't much information that gives you, details about how is it like to do an internship in that hospital. For example, you might just see Helen Joseph Hospital and think, oh my goodness, this is a beautiful hospital and it's close to home. I would like to go work there. It looks like it's clean, it looks like it's nice, but you do not know how it is like to work there. You do not know how it is like to be an intern there. So in this series, I basically have a chat with doctors who have done their internship already or who are in their second year of internship, because the internship is 2 years, so that they can tell us a little bit more about their experience in that hospital. So basically reviewing and rating the hospital. So this series is aimed to help medical students make informed decisions, because now you would actually know why are you choosing that hospital, because the people that I'm going to be chatting with on this episodes, they are going to be giving you all the details, like, okay, how are the block rotations, how's their teaching, how's the clinical exposure, are there a lot of patients that they are seeing, is there any concerns, any challenges, any advantages or disadvantages, how are the DQs there, everything concerning internship. How is the environment around the hospital? Is there anything that you can do if you're out of work or the hospital is just somewhere far away from malls and far away from roads and transports? Is the place safe? Because it might happen that sometimes you are placed at a hospital that you have never been in a province that you have never been in. And you need this kind of information beforehand so that you can prepare yourself, because it happens that sometimes you pick 5 options and they place you at a hospital that was not part of your 5 options. So these episodes are actually here for you to help you actually make an informed decision and know why exactly you are picking the hospital that you are picking. And if you are still like in your 5th year, 4th year, 3rd year, or lower, and you do not know exactly which hospitals you would like to do your internship, you can just watch the series and actually gather all the good hospitals that you are watching from the series. For example, if like you watch an episode and the person is saying good stuff about that hospital, then you can put that hospital as part of your options or at the back of your mind, that when you get to final year you might want to consider this hospital. So it is not only for like final year medical students. You can watch this series as a medical student even in your lower years. So because this series is very niched, it is only available to members of this channel. So you have to join and be a member of this channel. So what you can do is, below this video there is a join button next to the subscribe. You can click join and click internship series. Then you can access full episodes of the internship series, or you can use the link on the description box on this video to access the series. So every Friday there is gonna be a new episode of the internship series which focuses on one hospital. So I'm going to be chatting with different doctors every week that have done their internship at those different hospitals. So one episode focuses on one hospital so that you get a detailed review of that hospital, and every week there's a new episode, which means every week there is a new hospital that we are going to be rating. So far there are 3 episodes up. You won't be able to see them here on my channel unless you join and become a member. I am super proud to see this series manifest. I've had it at the back of my mind since the year began, and I've been shooting it for the past couple of months now. So I am glad that I have enough episode supply so that I can be consistent for you guys guys. That's why I'm gonna be able to post for, every week. So please guys, do share with any medical students that you know, and please support this series. I can't wait for you guys to actually let me know what you think. What is your feedback? How have you found the series? And yeah. So let's get into today's news. As I've said, a lot has been happening in our Department of Health. So early this year, our President Cyril Ramaphosa signed the NHI bill. I know I'm a little bit late on this one, but I know there are some of you who are still confused about what is the NHI, what does it mean, how does it affect you, how does it affect me, and that is why I am here to give you a simple breakdown of what the NHI is, what does it mean, and how is it possibly going to change our lives. So when the news broke, there was oh my goodness, people were going crazy on social media, right? Because people just heard that, okay, private hospital is going to be free. And people started saying, oh my goodness, I've been wanting to get a BBL. Oh my goodness, I'm about to walk in tomorrow and get a liposuction. Oh my goodness, I've been wanting those braces. You know what? Me going to Mediclinic right now, like there were a lot of memes that were going on, and people were saying, yeah, I'm about to give birth at a private hospital. I've been wanting that experience. And it was all fun and games, but I don't think everyone fully understands what the NHI means, and how are things going to work, and also people were like, what, I am canceling my medical aid right now. Like, I don't see a need for me to have a medical aid. And you know what, I feel like, yeah, there is just a lot going on. And when it comes to our government, the ANC, let me say it out loud, when it comes to the ANC, things that are proposed are not the things that necessarily manifest. I want to say that again. Things that are proposed, that are written down on paper, that are promised to us, are not the things that we see. Our government for the past 30 years or so has been promising us 1, 2, 3, but we haven't been seeing it. That's just the first thing I'm going to mention, guys, that the NHI on paper looks and sounds like a brilliant idea, right? It looks and sounds like it's a brilliant idea, and I feel like with the right government that is not corrupt, and with members of the country that pay tax and are up to date with their taxes and stuff like that, it could work. But you know what? Firstly, let me explain to you what is the NHI, in simple terms. So as you know, that our healthcare systems are divided into two. We have the government system, and the private. So government hospitals and the private hospitals. So for people to access the government hospitals, anyone can do that. You go there for free. You do not necessarily have to pay, even though some government hospitals you do pay, like, a little bit of an amount here and there. It depends on the kind of services that you're having. But basically, government hospitals, free services for all. Private hospitals, you have to pay. You are charged to access the services. And that is when a lot of people use their medical aids to access the services, right? So when we look at the amount of South Africans that access both of the healthcare systems, we find out that 85% of South Africans make use of the government facilities, and only 15% make use of the private facilities, because those are the portion of because those are the people who can afford medical aids, and they have a sort of like a good financial standing in a way. And the rest of the South Africans, they low socioeconomic status, most of them, they access the government hospitals, right? But what you might not know is that both systems are actually kind of funded, I can say, by the government, right? The private facility does get their own budget from the government, and the government hospitals and facilities also get a certain budget, right? And sometimes that budget could be more or less, the same budget. I'm not going to go into details with that because I'm also not that well informed, right? But that's just like the basic. So now think about this. Let's say the government hospitals receives 200 billion for the year, and the private hospitals also receive 200 billion per year. But then now you have 85% of people accessing the public hospitals, and you have 15% accessing the private hospitals, which means the private hospitals have less people and more money. That is why the private hospitals are able to maintain their hospitals really well. They are able to pay their staff really well. Maybe I can say they are able to employ more because they have a bigger budget, and also they are able to buy these big and fancy machines that you see when you go to a private hospital, and you are able to get this fancy treatment, better food, better looking rooms, and all of that services, right? But then when you get to a government hospital where they are having the same amount of money or budget, but now 85% of the country is relying on the public hospitals, which means that there is high demand. There's high demand. There are a lot of hospitals to be maintained. Even the hospitals that exist are not even enough because other provinces have really few hospitals. People have to walk long distances to access these hospitals. And also under government, there is a lot of corruption, right? People be chowing money to build these hospitals, be chowing money to develop, to improve, to renovate these hospitals. So it makes the public healthcare system even worse, because now you have a lot of people wanting or using the services, but then the amount of money is more or less the same than the private. And also now it means that there are few resources, right? And because the budget is low, there are few positions when it comes to work. That's why a lot of people, of doctors, are unemployed. The doctors that are meant to be hired by the government, for example, if you want to do your internship or community service, the government sometimes say we do not have posts because we do not have a budget to pay these doctors. That's why it is also hard to get a job in a public hospital as a doctor. We've been seeing that for the past couple of months, a lot of doctors coming out and saying that we've been trying to get jobs, we are unemployed and all of that stuff, because the public healthcare system is suffering. They can't maintain their hospitals. They can't give people the full, services that they need. Hospitals are overcrowded. There are not enough beds. Some people are, all the horrific stuff that happen in public hospitals, long waiting hours and stuff like that. So definitely our public hospitals, our public healthcare system rather, is not enough. It's not providing the best quality healthcare to its people. So what the NHI aims to do is to take both systems and make them into one. That now, instead of 85% of people relying on public and 15% relying on private, let 100% rely on one system. And basically that means that any South African, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, whether you have a medical aid, whether you do not, you can just walk into a private hospital and access your basic health care needs. And you can also walk into a government hospital and do the same thing. So that now not only one healthcare system is, suffering, but then the other system as well is kind of like, helping each other out, that we have now maybe, let's say, an even distribution, just, to put it in simple terms, let's say now, instead of 85 and 15%, now we get a 50-50, so that the government hospitals are able to, offer good quality healthcare, services, and also because the other people now are going to be accessing their healthcare at a private facility. But now the thing is, let's say that you can access either a private hospital or a government hospital for free. Which one would you choose? Definitely, without a doubt, you choose to go to the private hospital. So now it will mean that everyone who was accessing the government hospital would just simply run to the private hospital. So also the NHI states that the government hospitals need to be improved in order for this bill to kind of like work efficiently, so that people don't run away from public hospitals and just go straight to private hospitals, because public hospitals are just like poor. So now the public hospitals also have to improve, they have to get better, so that when you look at private and you look at government, you actually like get the same quality healthcare service. So which leads me to another point, that not every hospital is going to be under the NHI. There are certain hospitals that are going to be signed under the NHI. It's not every hospital in South Africa that is just going to be part of this bill that you can just walk in and access their healthcare. So people have to also, keep that in mind. And another important thing about the jokes that people have been making about liposuctions and BBLs, that is not covered by the NHI bill. The NHI covers only the basic health care needs, not cosmetics. BBLs and liposuctions are cosmetic, because you are not going to die if you don't get a BBL. Let's be serious. You are not gonna die if you don't get a liposuction, right? So you need to actually think about that before you cancel your medical aid, because you might cancel your medical aid and now you wanna get, breast implants, and NHI is not covering that. Only your medical aid will be able to cover that, for example. So people who know that they want to go and do these cosmetic surgeries, those are the people that need to keep their medical aids. And people who think that, okay, they are not gonna, get cosmetic surgeries, they're just gonna access basic, healthcare, needs, then they can consider canceling their medical aids. But I will not advise that people do it now, because you need to first see whether this thing is real and is working properly. So I wouldn't make that quick decision to just cancel a medical aid just like that and just rely on our government. First, let's see if this thing is really working. Like, first go and access private healthcare for free, for a couple of times, and get the feel and see that, okay, now I'm comfortable to actually cancel my medical aid. So because the NHI will benefit more of poor people, the rich people are mad, They're mad that now I won't be comfortable at my private hospital bed. I am going to be next to a person who didn't even afford to be here. Now private hospitals are going to be crowded. Everyone is just thinking about that. Private hospitals are now going to be crowded. Now I'm going to be accessing services with a person who didn't afford to be here, with a person who's unemployed and who's not paying tax, all of that stuff. But actually, when you think about it and you think about the people that actually die while waiting to access healthcare in public hospitals, it is really, really heartbreaking. Because sometimes, you get people who are really sick and they will tell you, yo, there's no dialysis machine available in this public hospital. You can only access one in Western Cape, and also the one in Western Cape, you have to be, on a line, waiting list. And if you can't do that, just go to private. But then we are speaking to someone who's just earning a SASSA grant, who can't afford to go through dialysis at a private hospital. And a lot of people have been dying because they were told at a government hospital that the medication that's going to save your life is only found in private hospital and it costs this much. That's why we've been seeing a lot of people come on social media and be like, please fund me, I need this medication, it costs me this much, and I don't have money, and please, can I please have donations? Sometimes they get the donations, sometimes they don't, and they end up losing their lives. So basically the NHI is here to kind of bridge that gap, that people who needs these critical services as well, they don't just die because the government doesn't have, but there's a dialysis machine chilling at a private hospital. They can just get the dialysis at a private hospital for free. So basically they're just trying to, say that every South African deserves the basic, human right of access to health care. And definitely not everyone is going to be happy about that in this country. And I mean, according to the way I feel, it sounds like a really good bill on paper. That's what I'm saying. The intentions around it and the way, it is thought out, it sounds really good, but is it really gonna work? So as I've said that in order for the NHI to work, it means that our government hospitals also have to improve, be renovated on all that stuff. And you're probably asking yourself, where is that money going to come from? Because already our healthcare department is decking. It has been failing to improve our hospitals for the longest years. So basically they're saying that there is going to be tax on top of the tax that's already there to contribute towards this NHI bill. And they're saying that you are not exempted as a South African taxpayer. You have to and you will pay this tax, whether you have a medical aid or not. At this moment, I don't know how much the tax is going to be. It is probably stated. But yeah, that's also another thing that people have not been happy about. That, oh my goodness, not us paying extra tax again in this economy. And yeah, it is quite sad. It is quite sad. But let me know in the comments, what are your views? What are your fears, your concerns? What are the issues you think that might arise with the NHI? Do you think it's gonna work? Do you not think it's gonna work? I'm actually kind of like looking forward to see how this turns out, because I think if it does work, it will really, sort of take off a little bit of load off the government hospitals, which means that people who work in the government, doctors who work in the government, will somehow have a little bit of better working environments, because people who are going to be accessing the government hospitals are going to be a little bit lower, and the staff also is kind of like, I can say, it's going to be distributed equally in that system, which means that now we're going to be working under good conditions, and hopefully we won't be understaffed, even though I feel like I'm reaching. And there are going to be better services for all South Africans, and you will no longer, be that much frustrated at a government hospital that you can't assist your patient, you are letting your patient die, and all of that stuff. So if it works really, I think it might be a game changer when it comes to our healthcare system. But as I've said, guys, our government promised us a lot of things and they haven't delivered up until this day. So I am so excited to see how this one turns out. So do let me know in the comments what you think. Yo guys, when we thought we have seen it all, we are having a monkeypox virus outbreak. On the 9th of May 2024, a 35-year-old male residing in the Gauteng province tested positive for the monkeypox virus. And after that case has been found, a couple of more people have been testing positive for the monkeypox virus, and currently in South Africa, there are 13 positive cases detected. 7 of them were detected in KwaZulu-Natal, 5 of them in Gauteng, and 1 in the Western Cape. And we have seen the news circulating on all the news platforms and on social media, and a lot of people have been worried. Are we about to face another pandemic? Because in 2020, what COVID did to us was really so traumatic. So now people are worried. Is this something to be worried about? What should we do? Are we about to quarantine again? First of all, what is this monkeypox virus? Let me tell you what monkeypox virus is. Monkeypox is a viral illness caused by the monkeypox virus, a species of the genus Orthopox virus. 2 different clades exist. There is clade 1 and clade 2. So monkeypox presents with an acute illness characterized by fever and general flu-like symptoms, followed by an eruption of blister-like rash on the skin, which lasts about 2 to 4 weeks. You can also experience headaches, muscle aches, back aches, and also swollen lymph nodes. So monkeypox is transmitted via physical contact. So you can get the virus when you are in contact with an infectious person, or you are in contact with contaminated materials like needles or anything like that that the person used, or you are in contact with infected animals. So you can get monkeypox from a person by just touching them, kissing them, or having any sexual contact. You can get monkeypox from, holding or touching infected animals, hunting them, or even eating them. And you can get monkeypox through contaminated sheets, clothes, or as I mentioned, needles of an infectious person. And also a pregnant mother can pass monkeypox down to their baby. So the main question that people have right now is, should we be worried? Should we be panicking? Is this thing gonna kill us? How dangerous is it? So currently the risk to the general population is considered low due to the low transmissibility of the virus, meaning it is not highly, transmitted from one person to another. It doesn't move that fast. It doesn't spread that fast in layman's terms. The last reported cases we had of monkeypox virus in South Africa were in August 2023. Also from 2023, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the DRC, has been experiencing a monkeypox outbreak as well, especially the clade 1. But when they did, their investigation with the person who now tested positive for the monkeypox virus in South Africa, they didn't find any information or any history of the person traveling out of the country. So far, I don't think we have any deaths. All the cases that have been identified have been isolated and treated accordingly. So I do not think this is something that you should panic about. But if you do see a person who looks unwell, whether it's a family member or whether it is you feel like you're having flu-like symptoms, you're having, muscle aches, headaches, you feel tired, and all of the sudden you are experiencing all these, blisters all over your body. It might look like chicken pox. Do go to the clinic or the hospital and get tested, because you never know. I'm not trying to scare you, but just be safe. Just be safe. But what I can say is, if you are feeling well and no one near you is sick, I don't think this is something you should be panicking about. At the hospitals right now, nothing has changed. We are still functioning as normal. I'm talking now from a medical student perspective to say that nothing has changed in the hospitals. It doesn't look like we are experiencing, another pandemic or another outbreak. Personally, I haven't seen a patient with monkeypox in any of our hospitals so far, and we have not been told to, take extra measures, PPE. Basically, what I'm trying to say is nothing has changed so far in the way that we function at the hospitals, which means that this is still under control. So basically what I'm trying to say is, it seems like things are still under control and there is no need for you guys to panic. And the good thing is that there is a vaccine for the monkeypox virus, and there is a treatment for it, especially for people who experience complications when it comes to the illness. And it has been proven that people who are more susceptible to getting this illness are people who are HIV positive, especially if they are not controlled, which means that they have a high viral load, they are not taking their medication. And those are the people who have been actually testing positive for the monkeypox virus. So it has actually been proven that if you're a person who is generally healthy, you have low chances of actually acquiring the virus, and also you have better chances of surviving the virus. I just hope that we won't have more cases, because I do not want to be in another pandemic. I do not, oh my goodness. It is times as this when you're just like, why did I choose to be a frontline worker? Because during COVID, they were like, everybody go inside your house, doctors, medical students, hack back to the hospitals. That was crazy. COVID was scary times, because I remember the time when the president was like lockdown, level 5 even, and people were, quarantining in their houses and stuff. But then for us medical students, we had to go back, because we can't be studying online for the rest of our degree. So being a frontline worker ain't cute, and I am just praying that we do not get another pandemic. Okay guys, I think we have caught up enough when it comes to what has been happening in our healthcare system. Now it is time for us to learn about another career in health sciences. Today's career that we are going to be learning about has been requested by a couple of you guys, and it is a career that I also do not know much of, so I am going to be learning as much as you are going to be learning. The career that I am talking about is indeed biomedical engineering. Yes, you are thinking, what does engineering have to do with health sciences? I think it is a career that mixes both. It has, biomedical, it has the biology, medical side of it, and engineering. So it is sort of like a 2-in-1, where engineering and biology kind of like meets together, which is so exciting, especially if you're a person who's interested in, engineering, building stuff, but you're also interested in the human biology. I think this would be a career for you. So if you are a person who is thinking of pursuing biomedical engineering, take your pen and a paper right now, because I know my guest is about to give you useful information. and good advice. And if you are a person who's still thinking, what can I do under health sciences? Maybe this might be, another career to consider. And if you are just like me, curious to learn about careers that exist in health sciences, sit down and actually keep on listening, because I'm going to be having a good chat with my guest. So guys, without speaking any further, give it up for my guest. Hello Pelisa, how are you doing today?
Hi Andisa, well thanks, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. People don't know how much it took for us to actually sit down and have this chat that we're about to, have, because of our busy schedules. You're always busy, I'm always busy, but I'm so glad that finally we got time to actually sit down and actually unpack your career. She has explained to me multiple times what she's doing, and I'm still confused. And I hope this conversation is going to, give me some insight and also give you guys who are also confused or didn't know about biomedical engineering, right? So, but first of all, before we get right into it, I'd like you to introduce yourself to my audience.
My name is Pelasantaya, and I am, as she has said, I'm doing my biomedical engineering master's degree at UCT, and I have a whole lot of a background, but yeah, that's just in short. But my background is in computer engineering, and I found myself here in biomedical engineering.
Okay. So, do you have a computer engineering degree?
Yes.
Okay. And where are you from?
Oh, wow. Very good question.
Home?
Home is in Eastern Cape.
Okay.
Yeah, home is in Eastern Cape. And I studied there. I grew up in Eastern Cape, studied there to high school, came here for varsity.
Yeah. All right. And did you do your computer engineering here at UCT as well?
No. So I came to Cape Town to CPUT initially to study electrical engineering. And along the way, studying electrical engineering, I found myself falling for computer engineering. And then I then graduated for electrical engineering and then pursued my computer engineering after that and graduated.
How many degrees do you have? That's the question I have. Sounds like a lot. Electrical engineering, computer engineering.
So the electrical is a diploma.
Okay. And then computer engineering. And then you decided, no, I'm not satisfied. I'm going to go for something else.
Yeah.
And how did you end up in biomedical engineering? Like, what spiked your interest?
So my journey is very interesting. I think as the years are going, I think I'm really finding myself like I don't want to say I'm very curious, but when I see something and then I'm very curious, I want to know more about it. I just, at that click, I follow it. Even though I don't know how it's going to look like at the end, I just follow it at that point. So I have a certain drive that is very, very delusional. I'm very delusional. So it's just like electrical engineering, because I was doing electrical engineering, and then there was a course which was an introduction to computer programming while I was doing electrical engineering. And then I was like, okay, I want to do more of this course, but I don't want to let go of the electronic side, because I still liked electronics, but I was like, I also like programming. So I wanted a course that could combine these two, and then I was advised to pursue computer engineering, which I did pursue it. And on my final year, doing my computer engineering final year, I was part of a medevendors course. It was during COVID-19, when COVID-19 just started hitting in South Africa, 2020, I think, beginning of 2020. There was a sort of like a challenge or a hackathon. It was involving 3 or 4 universities. I think it was UCT, CPUT, UKZN, and VETS. So they were calling out engineering faculties to sort of like come together with health practitioners or health facilities to create engineering solutions, immediate engineering solutions that could combat the COVID-19 and any other airborne diseases that might come out in the future. And I was part of those students that were part of that program. And that program was facilitated by UCT, and we had to do medical device design courses. So there were courses that were taking us through medical development, like how do you design a medical device as an engineer, and what are the things that you should be aware of, regulations and all that, and the anatomy of the human body, because you are an engineer and you're building something that has to work in a person. So you have to have some sort of a background or baseline of what a human body looks like.
Yeah.
And that was the course that sort of like gave me that first click to say in my head, oh, actually there should be this industry, because ask yourself, who makes the pacemakers, for example? That was the question. Those are the questions that started popping up in my head. And I was part of that group, and we went to compete, and my group, we created a ventilator.
Wow.
It was a prototype, so it was just showing the inspiration and exploration, like the basics of a ventilator. And although we didn't win anything, we didn't come first, second with it, but we managed to network with other students, and I managed to meet other students from UCT, which were from the Division of Biomedical Engineering. And as we were talking, looking at each other's solution, we were connecting, and I was asking them, what are you guys studying? And they were asking about my background as well. And that's why I found out that I could actually qualify. I should try applying. I may qualify to pursue biomedical engineering at a master's level, with the kind of levels that I have, like considering the qualifications that I had at that point. And yeah, I applied.
Okay, and you're here now.
Got me here. Yeah.
All right, so what I'm getting is you didn't have to do the whole degree, biomedical engineering degree.
I didn't have to.
So you just got into masters.
Yes.
Is there like a specific program, or all universities just function that way?
So for me, I don't know if because during the med ventures, it was a year course, so I did courses at that point. I mentioned basic biomedical device design, and other courses that sort of like give you a baseline of stepping into a medical field as an engineer. I don't know if that played a part in my application as well, but I know that for some people, they do study biomedical engineering at an undergrad level. I know other universities, they do offer that. But for me, I applied, like I said, I didn't have to go through that with what I had at that time. It was enough to get me to this point. But also some of my classmates, I know that they studied here at UCT, some of them, they have undergraduates here at UCT. I remember one at this point that has a background in mechanical engineering, but I know that she had some courses that was sort of like a bridge, because I know that she did medical imaging in her undergrad, which I think maybe that is when she knew that she wanted to pursue biomedical engineering, and that was sort of a bridge for her. So I don't know if you have to be coming from but it looks like it works even if you don't come from...
Yeah, because it seems like you took the longer route, you know, and I'm just thinking about someone right now who's like doing matric and is like, where do I apply? Do I start at electrical, or where do I go to? Okay, so I'd like us to, simplify things a little bit. Let's start it from the top. What is biomedical engineering?
So, in simple terms, I would say biomedical engineering is engineering in the medical space. You know that there is engineering. We are aware that there is engineering in the medical space. But we never think about who built those things and what type of knowledge do they have. Because now that I knew at that point, when I knew that there's biomedical engineering, it clicked to my head that, a pacemaker, who built the pacemaker? And that person who built the pacemaker has to have some knowledge of how a heart works. So what type of an engineer builds something like that? So I would say it's engineering in the medical space. It's technology in medicine. It's technology integrated with medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like then you'd have to have like some background when it comes to, you know, medicine, your anatomy, your physiology, and with the route that you take, the route that you took, did you get to do any, you know, anatomy, physiology courses maybe?
Yeah. So it is when you start at UCT, they actually the first year is a total scrutiny because for me, coming from a total engineering pure background, they had to first. I was trained first not as an engineer. My first year was totally out of engineering. There was no engineering thing. It was I had to do anatomy. I had to go through the sections. You saw me at the hospital. I had to do clinical rounds.
Is this your first year in masters?
This is my second year now. So this is my final year in masters.
So your masters is 2 years. 2 years. So this was last year.
Yeah, this was last year. So the entire last year we do coursework, which includes anatomy, medical imaging, biomechanics, osteology. Yeah, so physiology as well. So we go through that phase so to prepare us so that whatever you go and design, you take note of the anatomy of the body. Because if, let's say, I'm designing this device, I have to know that this is the problem. And if it has to go through a muscle, I must know that there's this vein that is going through here.
Yeah.
So I should be aware of the entire anatomy that my device will encounter. So yeah, we did go through the coursework, which, yeah, coming from an engineering background, it was total frustrating, but very interesting. It was very interesting for me. I enjoyed a lot of the dissection labs. I was freaked out at the beginning. I remember during my first day of dissection labs, because they didn't tell us, but everyone in class, they knew that we will do dissections. But you see, I told you that it was at a certain point where this vision or this sudden dream of me doing biomedical engineering, it came at that point. I was like, let me apply. I didn't even do research. I was like, let me just apply, let me just go for it. And then when I got there in the dissection lab, I was freaked out. I ran out. I was like, I'm not coming back. I went home. I called my mom. I was like, someone must come pick me up. I'm not doing this again. And the next day, they're like, girl, go back. Go and do this thing. And yeah.
So have you ever saw yourself like in health sciences, doing health sciences related career?
Before, I never saw myself. Yeah. Honestly, before I never saw myself because firstly, I was terrified of sick people first. And I didn't know that there's another way of getting into healthcare besides being a nurse or being a doctor.
Yeah.
So when it came to engineering, because engineering is something that I love building things. So when it came to that, I was like, okay, so there's another door. Let me use this door. Maybe it would work for me. And yeah, hopefully.
Okay. You know, I usually get questions from like people asking me, I want to get into health sciences, but I'm scared of blood. You know, I'm scared that I will get attached to patients. I don't really want to deal with patients. What career can I do? So do you think biomedical engineering is a good career for someone who doesn't want to deal with that? Or do you think you are still very much exposed to patients?
So I think for someone who wants to get to medicine still and wants to use another door or another route, I think biomedical engineering is definitely a door or a route that they could actually use because my supervisor is this term, I just can't phrase it correctly, but he likes saying biomedical engineering, instead of helping one patient with biomedical engineering, you can help hundreds of patients, millions of patients, because you create one device And that device could be mass produced, could be spread throughout Africa,
Yeah.
throughout Europe, and now you're helping a lot of people. So although you're not helping directly, you are helping indirectly, and you are touching many lives. So you are still touching many lives through biomedical engineering. So for someone who thinks of getting into a space into this space, they could actually use biomedical engineering as an alternative.
Wow, that's amazing. I would like us to talk about the biomedical engineering as an undergraduate course. For someone who'd like to obviously apply for the degree, I know that you didn't really get into the undergraduate to do the degree. You started in your master's, but I would like you to share with us firstly which universities offer biomedical engineering as like undergraduate, and also what are the requirements for someone to qualify to study it.
I know that UCT offers biomed at a graduate level, at master's level to PhD. But UP, University of Pretoria, I think VETS as well. Yes, UP, VETS, and Stellenbosch, they offer it as an undergrad. So if you looking to study as an undergrad, which I actually advise, because I took the longer route because I didn't know that there was anything called biomedical engineering, to be honest. Should I have known from the beginning, I think I would have pursued it firsthand.
Do you think it's a very competitive degree to get into?
So biomedical engineering, getting into it is very competitive. Yeah, but there are not a lot of biomedical engineers in South Africa, first of all. I don't know if it's because we don't have a lot of biomedical engineering companies, because most of us, we end up in hospital, working in hospital, or maybe get consumed by an international company and you work in hospital under that company, because Johnson & Johnson, they have medical devices. You end up being not a maintainer, but an operator of those devices. For example, I have a friend who's working in Grooteskier and other surrounding hospitals.
So you are almost done with your master's now. I'd like to know whether have you been loving the degree? Do you think you've made, the best decision, or already have something in mind that you'd like to explore next?
Yeah, I think I've loved the journey. I don't want to lie. It was very insightful. For me, in every journey, I'm always looking for a challenge and come out as a grown person at the end of the degree. Come out with a different skill. Come out differently, and of which I think I've gotten that in this degree, because now I've started learning more about medicine, like basic things that a medical science student would go through.
Yeah.
Like anatomy, that I said I enjoyed it. I enjoyed anatomy a lot. And I would want to still pursue a degree still, because I was thinking to myself,
another degree? Girl, you're gonna finish all the degrees before we even get one.
But I think the next step will also be linked towards the same cause. I don't think I'll be moving from the health sciences engineering side of things, because I think I've finally found, because all the engineering I've learned, it makes sense why I had to go through electrical engineering and then computer engineering and then why here. It makes sense now why, because all these things now, they start working together so well. And there's just one gist where I'm like, okay, if now I can accumulate this, this would set me apart. This I would usually create this entire being that is definitely skilled and different in the skill set.
So you told us that you were scared the time you found out that actually you had to do dissections, because you've never been a person who is interested in that kind of stuff. So how did you overcome your fear when it comes to seeing flesh and interacting with patients, or walking in theater and you find them operating? How did you get to own up that kind of space?
I think the first step was, especially starting from the dissection labs, when I literally stormed up the first day, and the lecturer had to follow me and was like, "Are you okay?" And that first day, I didn't continue the session. I went back home. I told my mom, I was like, girl, that thing, I have to see dead bodies now. What is that thing? And my mom was like, no, I literally wanted to quit at that point. And my mom was like, no, there's nothing like that is going to happen. You are going back to that thing. You'll do it and finish it. And then I realized that this is what I want. This is what I want. This is an opportunity that is very rare, first of all, because coming from a background that I'm coming from, it's a rare opportunity. And I was like, let me grab it. And then I graced it. I went back and I fought, and I started loving things. When I found those positive little things, for example, starting to love dissection, I was a good dissector, bro. I started being a good dissector. Like, I wouldn't cut through any veins. You would see my body was clear. My cadaver was clear. You could literally tell structures. So those little small achievements, like, they meant a lot. They were fueling me to go forward. And going to hospitals, and one thing I was scared of was, especially going to theater, because we met in urology theaters. I was scared of blood. I was like, okay, how am I going to react with blood? But to my surprise, I behaved very well, because I think at that point I was so focused, and I was focused and I was so fascinated. Yes, this is the word that I was looking for. I was fascinated because at that point I had the study that I wanted to pursue. And I just wanted to see the actual problem, because I don't know if we mentioned this at the beginning, but at UCT, when we start the master's degree, the problems that we solve, the type of devices that we build at the end of our masters, they don't come from us. So at UCT, they bring in people to come present problems, and then that's when you take that problem. They literally come and sell their problems to say, come and be my student. We can partner in solving this problem. So for me, it was a professor from Grootesker, who is head of urology, and he came and presented the problem. And when he presented the problem, I was like, I wanted to go for it, but there were still other professors who were still going to come and present their problems. Other professors from different divisions, also in Grootesker, they came and presented the problems that they have. And the one for urology was what stood out for me. And I set up an appointment with the professor, and we met and we spoke about the problem. And then I told him about my background, starting from the beginning, as I told you now. And he was like, no ways, I think I have another problem for you. Let's forget about this problem. I think you'll be more interested in this problem. And it is within cystoscopy. And then he told me about the problem within cystoscopy. I was like, I want it. And he was like, okay, let's prepare for clinicals so that he can come and see this problem, can experience it and see it. So, which is why we would go to hospitals, we would go observe the surgeries in theater, involving the type of device that I'm interested in. And at that point, I already had the study and I was sold. So at that point, I wanted to learn more about the problem. So I think I was more curious.
So basically in masters, your masters is all focused on you creating a sort of device. So sort of like at the beginning of your masters, you get like these people who come with like problems, and then you have to choose which problem you're going to build a solution for. So the whole duration of your masters is you working on this project.
Yes, so at the beginning, we study, we do the coursework, preparing us so that whether that problem comes from thoracic surgery, it's a problem that I could jump into because I've learned already the entire human body. So
is it in your second year when they now present the problem?
It's in the first year.
Okay.
It's in the first.
So do you go through like first year knowing which problem you're gonna deal with?
So through first year, I think second semester of first year, that's when you know you have chosen you start choosing the project, and you do your clinicals. You go observe now the problem to say, okay, I'm interested in this project. and then I'm going to be observing now and start unpacking the problem and come out with a solution. And you start presenting a solution in the first year. You go for your proposal presentation where they call everyone in the division to come, and you start presenting what you have unpacked from the hospital visits, the depth of the problem, and research it. Do your research, obviously your literature reviews, finding whether is this the problem that Grootersdorp Hospital is experiencing, or is it a problem experienced by the whole of South Africa, or is it a problem experienced by the entire African continent, or is it a problem that is being experienced by the entire world? And in my case, when I did my research, I realized that this is a problem that has been experienced by the entire cystoscopy industry. And there's been like attempts to try solve the issue, but still no device on the market that people can buy and use.
All right, so we're gonna unpack your project, you know, a little bit later. I just want to know, you told us that your mother is the one that pushed you, you know, to go back and actually pursue or continue with what you've already started. I just want to know, did she understand the dream that you had? How did she react when you told her that, okay, you don't want to do computer engineering anymore and you want to pursue another career? Because you know, sometimes parents can be very strict if you are very undecisive, going, you know, back and forth. I just want to know, was she that supportive? And also, did you have like any other support structures when it comes to this?
So at the beginning, I think another thing about my mom actually is it's someone that has adopted me as her daughter. Like she's taken me under her wing too. So that's why I call her my mom, because she's been very supportive. She understands me. Like even she understands, she gets me from the first glance. So when I presented this to her to say, next year I want to do this thing, I'm accepted for it. I didn't even tell her when I applied for it. I only told her when I was accepted. And she was like, okay, you can go do it. But another challenge, I was employed as a software engineer. I was earning. It was a good salary.
Yeah.
So I had a job. So for someone who's leaving a job, and the masters were full-time. So I needed to leave the job completely and go study the masters. So that was a total delusion. So that's when you start getting a lot of people being like,
Is this a good decision?
Is this a good decision? It was very frustrating also for me at the beginning, because I was also thinking to myself, am I making the right decision? Am I making the right move? But I think as they saw the kind of I'm one person that is when I want to do something, come at me.
Just gonna go for it.
I'll go for it. So I think at that point they saw, and they, being the people that understand how I do things, they were like, okay, this girl is going to do this thing either way. And people started coming on board, and a lot of support I started getting from my uncles, from my family, from my siblings as well, to say, you go push, you go do this thing, you can do it. And also, because I always I would try to explain to them that, guys, I'm not changing, because they would say, you're changing now and going to, and remember, I changed from electrical to computer, and I was changing now to something else. They were like, okay, this girl, what is she doing?
Yeah.
So I had to explain to them that I wish you guys can see that these things are actually related, everything that I've been doing actually related. Because it was not a total change of things.
Yeah.
Because now, with the even building of the device, my entire engineering, both electrical and computer engineering, they're coming into play now, into building of the device. And the health sciences part of things is just guiding me, so that whatever that I build under the right regulation, knowing the anatomical structures and the pathological structures that I have to keep in mind while developing the device. So, yeah.
Oh, that's good. You know, it's good to actually know that you had support along the way, because usually people who have, you know, journeys that are unfamiliar might not have, good support, because some people, give up along the way. Be like, we supported your dream of doing this, now you're taking us to another thing. But I'm glad that you actually, receive support, or you receive support during your journey. So I just want to ask, in your opinion, do you think your engineering background gives you an advantage compared to someone who just did biomedical engineering as like an undergrad and now is doing your master's?
I would think for me, it's my entire journey. Like I said, that my entire journey, as much as it was not making sense, but it now, like, it helps me a lot now into building of the actual things, because now this is where you start applying engineering. And even the electrical engineering that I learned from long ago, principles that I learned from long ago, they're starting to come into play. So I wouldn't say that indirectly, it's helping me indirectly, but for someone that has a biomedical engineering undergraduate, I would think that they would have the same potential, the same confidence that I have into building engineering things.
Yeah,
I would think that they would have the same confidence, because we have gone through the same training.
okay.
Yeah.
So how is your day-to-day life looking like as a master's biomedical engineering student? Like, what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
It's campus. I'm always in medical campus, sitting in my desk, working on the device. Like I said, that I'm now approaching my trials. I'll have my bench testing, laboratory testing of the device, and then I will go to cadaver trials. And unfortunately, I won't go as far as clinical trials, because that will need a whole trail of applications to SAPRA and all that and all that. But I think cadaver trials are enough for me to obtain my degree. But if I were to go maybe pursue a PhD, then that's when maybe I would need to go as far as clinical trials and get approval from SAPRA. But my day-to-day, I think it's just me and my desk now, working on the device, perfecting the device, preparing for testing, because I'm looking to submit. Hopefully, I'm crossing fingers for October. Yeah, so I'm hoping to submit in October. So I'm trying to push for that. I'm writing, so it includes writing now. I'm starting to write as well. Actual thesis. Thesis.
Okay.
So I'm starting to write the actual thesis and working on the device itself, perfecting the device. And yeah, the upcoming big thing is the trials. I'm looking forward to.
Do you have anyone you look up to in this industry?
In this industry, I'm delusional. So if you allow me to be as delusional as I want, it's not someone, but there are a lot of devices that when I see, I'm like, who created that? But obviously it's companies now. It's companies like Philips, Medtronics. But one innovation that has literally captured me is the Neuralink chip from Neuralink.
What's that?
The Elon Musk company. They develop chips for disabled people, and they bring brain interfaces so that someone who's disabled, they can literally communicate with other people through a computer.
What disability are we talking about? Like, I'm trying to understand.
Think of a person that is that is in ICU. They cannot do anything. They cannot move. They cannot do anything. They cannot speak. And they think of them having that chip in their brain. They can now communicate.
So it's a brain chip.
Yeah, it's a brain chip.
So what does a brain chip do for someone who is in a coma?
So it's a brain chip that is in your brain, and it's connected to your neurons and your interneurons, and passes those signals.
Does it show us what you think in a computer?
Yeah, it will say aloud whatever that you want to say aloud.
Yo, that sounds very scary. Has this thing been implemented? Is it a real thing?
It's not been implemented. It was tested on pigs, actually.
Pigs?
Yeah, it was tested on
That's
pigs.
scary. Imagine knowing what a baby thinks and Wow.
Yeah.
I
And there's the new robotics machine actually for urology. I think Groteskeri is just procured it. The Da Vinci XI.
is it the one that allows you to do a laparatory? Is it the laparatory
Yes,
machine?
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's smart. I feel like, your career is so suitable for, the current times,
Yeah.
because, now AI has taken, all over every industry by storm. So you guys get to actually, tap into that and mix it with, technology and, produce these great machines, of which I think it's very, very impressive. And I think it needs someone who's a dreamer or delusional, in your own words, who's able to, think about this big idea and actually see how they can actually, make something out of it, which is good. So, for your journey, what has been like the most challenging things that you can say about studying biomedical engineering?
I think the biggest challenge was the transition coming from that engineering background into this medical space of now having to deal with people. I mentioned in the beginning that even those dissection labs at the beginning, like I found it very challenging. Until a point, I remember I started stepping up from a point where I failed the test. And then I was like, okay, girl, you need to step up. And I knew that I had to work extra hard now. So all the fear, I had to swallow that fear. And you would find me in the 2 a.m. in the dissection lab, still working, still
What?
trying. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I remember the lectures even showed me where the keys for dissection labs. They were like, okay, you find the keys here if you want to study more. Because at that point, I was literally going to every lecture. I was like, okay, I'm struggling. I failed osteology. I remember going to the lecture. I was like, I'm struggling. And she was even willing. She gave me bones. And I remember calling home. I was like, I'm coming back home, but now I'm carrying bones. And my mom was like, okay, you can come back. And then minutes later, she called me like, no, those are human remains. Don't come with bones here.
Yeah.
Don't come with bones here. And then it stuck to my head. I was like, actually, these are human bones for real. These are human remains. But at that point, I was so focused on trying to make this thing work and passing this thing. So I think that was the most challenging part. It was the first semester.
Yeah.
It was my first. It was very challenging. I remember having to stay at night in the dissection labs and have my music out loud so that I don't hear any other noise and start getting scared.
Yo, I can imagine dissection rooms are so scary. Yeah. Okay, how easy was it to find funding? Because I'm thinking now, moving from all these different, degrees or diplomas, how easy was it for you to get funding? Are there a lot of companies that fund biomedical engineering?
Yes, I think funding there is actually. I think this is actually a good question that people should know. There is funding in our space. I got a full funding. Which I think it is a good funding because I didn't have to worry with the fact that I left my job. It was covering everything and also the stipend on the side so that I even moved away from home, stayed closer to campus. I could afford even to pay rent for myself from the same fund. So there is funding. Everyone, in fact, in my lab that I know, everyone is funded.
Okay, so which funding is this?
So I am NRF and you have to be 65%, your average of 65% from your previous
NRF. Okay.
So from your previous honors, you have had to have an average of 65% for you to qualify for NRF, yes.
Okay, and are there any other bursaries that you know of that are good?
There is Mesitam bursary, there is Impulse. So Impulse is a company that's been spun out of our lab, the lab that I'm part of, UCT MedTech. So it is now a company that is standing there and also providing bursaries for for people like us.
Okay, that's great. I mean, that's great. I mean, the most stressful thing that you can ever go through is actually struggling to find funding. So it's really nice to hear that there are these companies who
Yes.
are, funding your program. So I just want to know, according to your opinion or maybe your knowledge or research, are there enough like job opportunities for biomedical engineers here in South Africa? Because I mean, our country is not the most developed when it comes to your sector. I just want to know, are there any like enough job opportunities? Are they more in the government or the more in the private sector?
That's a very good question. Because when I dived into this space without even checking about jobs and all that, but I think that was because I already had something on the other side which was not related to the course.
Yeah.
But I think there is great potential. The market is not even saturated. The market is still trying to build itself. Because like you mentioned, a lot of devices that we get, medical devices, if you go to the hospitals, all the medical devices that we have there, we have imported them.
Yeah.
And the problem with that importation, which is why now you see a lot of companies spinning out, which I like actually. I like the fact that I mentioned that from my lab, I think there are more than 4 companies that have spun out from my lab now, and they're doing well. And these are the people that started as at a master's level, went to PhD, and they realized that this device is actually a potential, and they got seeds funding, and they started a company.
Yeah.
So it shows that we have our own problems in Africa, and they are unique. Honestly, they are unique problems, and when we get these devices from overseas, they come here because they are in need. They're in need overseas, but there might not be a need.
Yeah, they might not meet our needs here.
They might not meet our needs, and the environment is different as well. We don't know how this device will behave in this type of environment.
Yeah.
And so I think the market is for a person to start your own thing, and it's for a person to actually, because some of the people that I've studied with, I know that there's one who was ahead of me that was taken by Philips, working for Philips. Philips is big in electronics and also medical devices. And one of my other friends, I mentioned that he's at Johnson & Johnson, and he's working, the fact that he's working with so many hospitals in Cape Town, first of all, and when they do surgeries in Joburg, he has to fly to Joburg for that surgery, because he's the operator of the actual device that they use for that operation. And if they're doing that operation in KZN, it means that shows that there are not a lot of biomedical engineers. The fact that one person is moving around. And I think going for internationally, there is a big market. So if you study here in South Africa, you create a device here, there's a high potential of you being snatched by an international company. Like I mentioned, the person that was working on the device, that started working on my device, he is in the Netherlands working for Philips as well. So there's a big potential. There is a big the market is not saturated, honestly, because I think it's underrepresented. Even when I was still doing my undergrad, I didn't know about biomedical engineering. I knew about biomedical engineering through MedVentures, and I was like, there is something like this that exists? They're like, yes, girl. And I was like, okay, why didn't anyone tell me about it? Yeah. So at least now I'm here telling you.
Yeah. And now we are all getting educated. So when it comes to the device that you are building, after now, it has passed all the tests, is it going to be implemented? Is it like 100% definitely this is going to be implemented and it's going to be your own invention? Or you still have to go out of your way and find funding and actually get to implement this? How does it work after?
So I think UCT is actually very helpful in people who want to spin out their own companies. They have their own inventions, because like I mentioned, the people that have started from my lab, they got a lot of support. The fact that they managed to go and start that company. They got a lot of support internally from UCT. But with my device at this stage, I will go as far for my degree. I can go as far as cadaver trials, and from there get my degree. But I can still work further. I told you that working further, it would mean refining it, obviously refining the device, applying to SAPRA for approval, so that I could do clinical trials if it meets that stage of doing clinical trials, or it also depends on the results that I will get from the cadaver trials. Maybe there's a lot of refinement that I'll need to do, and then have to do the trials again, cadaver trials, and then if it passes all those tests, we can then go now to SAPRA and start applying, and SAPRA will have their own requirements, and we will have to make sure that the invention is up to the standard.
Okay. All right. So what is like your plans for the near future? I mean, now you're almost done with your masters. What is coming up, in the next couple of years for you? What are you looking forward to doing?
Yeah, good question. Sure, yeah, that's a good question actually.
You didn't think about it?
I didn't think about it, but I think I'm very passionate about. All of a sudden, I'm very passionate about urology.
Urology.
I tell you.
Don't tell me you want to pursue a whole MPCHP degree now to be a urologist.
No, I'm not coming there. But all of a sudden, I'm very passionate about urology devices around urology. Like I told you, I was very intrigued by the Da Vinci robotic device. Yeah, I think there's more to come in terms of inventions. There's more to come. I'm someone who loves real problems and then build a solution. Even my hope is just to create things. You can just create moving things, robotic things that are just moving for nobody knows what. Yeah, so I would say expect something. I'm full of surprises.
I can tell. So after you complete your masters, where could you possibly go? Are you at a stage now where you're applying for jobs? Like, what is the next step for you?
So the next step for me, I'm still trying to think about pursuing a PhD. So it's still there in my head, and I'm doing that research. I'm busy with that research now, with what kind of study I would want to go, what type of PhD, first of all, would I want to go, because now there are a lot of aspects that I have, and yeah, a lot of research has to happen, but definitely look for a job, continue work and get experience. It's important to get experience. I think for me to get experience, it would be very important, so I will definitely look for a job. I have started looking for a job, and also started looking for potential PhD posts in and outside of the country.
Okay. Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes.
All right. So, what advice do you have for someone who would like to pursue your career?
One advice I would give, whether you're in high school or whether you already have an established career and you would like to pursue to advance your studies, and you're looking for another thing to pursue, like myself, maybe after watching this video, you are like, maybe I can pursue this biomedical engineering thing. I would say try. So that's my advice. Try. If you have an engineering undergrad, try your luck in biomedical engineering. I think it's an industry that has not been tapped into. So it is not saturated. It is an industry that still needs a lot of people, because, like I mentioned, we have devices that are coming into Africa, but they don't meet the needs of the African needs. So we need people. And if you're in high school, at least now you know that you want to pursue biomedical engineering. Focus on these subjects that I mentioned. make sure that you score at least 70% and above in your maths, in your life science, in your physics, in your technical subjects, that if you have an add-on technical subject, in your English. Those are very important. Focus on those and apply on time. Remember, it's UP, it's VETS, it's Stellenbosch, and if you are looking to pursue at a postgraduate level, UCT is here for your master's and PhD.
Okay, that is really great advice. Thank you so much for sharing with us your career. I've really learned a lot. I didn't know much about biomedical engineering, but now I can say that I know something, and I hope also, you know, viewers actually learned a lot, especially if you are someone who is interested in this career. I hope, you know, you got some insight, and now you're also going to do, you know, your own research, but now you have, you know, some sort of background knowledge. And I wish you all the best with the rest of your career. You know, I can't wait to, you know, see your inventions come to life. I can't wait to use you know, an equipment and be like, okay, Pelisa designed this. Can't wait to see, you know, reach, you know, great heights, because I feel like, you know, as you've said, your career is not like oversaturated, and I feel like it's so easy to get a breakthrough if you're only few people who are doing this. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
My pleasure.